Welcome to Bikes with Ben. Today we're going coastal and I'm giving you 5 quick tips to fix up your beach cruiser. Stay tuned. There's not a bike more iconic than the classic beach cruiser. And it's got features like a spring-loaded seat, pedals, and even handlebars. And the kickstand sounds like this, and it rides like this. I mean, what more can you ask for? Let's get this one fixed up. Tip number 1, pump up those tires. Take off the cap, put that on there, pump it up. Now, if you're not sure how much air your tires need, you can look down here around the sidewall of the tire, and you can see a max rating. This tire here is rated 40 to 65 max. So we're gonna put in here about 50. All right, there's 50 PSI. We're gonna pump up the front now. Step number 2 is to check your brakes. You may notice that your brakes are rubbing or not giving you adequate stopping power when you pull the lever. Let's look into both those situations right now. The first step in inspecting your brakes is to make sure that the cable's not frayed, that this bolt is tight, and that your cable housing is fully seated into the cable housing end stop. You also want to make sure there is enough room between the brake pad and the wheel so that the wheel does not rub. Once you've inspected your brake cable and housing, it's time to check if the brake pads are properly aligned. To do that, loosen your brake pad, pull the lever to bring the brake pad in, and you would like the brake pad to be at the top of the braking surface and in contour with the wheel. Then tighten it down. Now that we've got our brake pads properly aligned, the next step is to adjust our spring tension here and here. These screws adjust the tension of the springs to control each of these arms. By adjusting that, we can center the brake pads around the rim and prevent rubbing. Start by squeezing your brake lever a few times to get the brakes in their natural returned position. Then look and see where the pads lie. In our case, this arm is a little too far in, that arm's a little too far out. We need to take this full assembly and move it back to center. To do that, we can increase the tension on this screw. Now we have a nice, even spacing between our brake pads on both sides, and we don't have any rubbing. If your brakes are too loose and not giving you adequate stopping power, you can adjust this barrel adjustment knob. And that's it for tip number 2. If you're still having issues with your brakes, check out the video linked above. On to tip number 3, lube your chain. If you have a bike lube like this, that's great. Put that on your chain. If you're in a pinch, you probably are because you're at a beach house for vacation. You can use some olive oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, anything. The thicker the oil, the better. I wouldn't do this for your bike at home for something you're riding all the time. For a beach cruiser, it's perfectly fine. So let's get down into the chain here. What we're gonna do is take our lubricant of choice. Since we've got the good stuff, we're gonna use it. You're gonna put a splash on the exposed chain here. Put some on the cassette up here. Then pick your back tire up. Rotate the chain around. Make sure the whole thing's coated. Then you can shift through the gears so that you can coat the entire cassette. Now that you've shifted through all the gears and the cassette has the lubricant on it as well, you can take a paper towel and wipe off the chain, just getting off all the excess. And there you have it. A nicely lubed chain is going to shift much better than that sea salt rusted out thing you had before. And on to tip number 4, how to adjust your shifting. Most of these bikes are single speed since you're just cruising around beach towns anyway, but if your bike does have shifting like this one, you may need to adjust your derailleur from time to time. The derailleur is the mechanism that takes your chain and moves it up and down the cassette so that you can shift gears. This here is your shifter knob. This runs with a wire down to your derailleur. and your derailleur moves up and down as the wire tightens. If your chain is really bad, you may need to do a full derailleur adjustment. For that, I've linked a Park Tool video up above that goes through everything you need to know on how to adjust a derailleur. If you're looking for just a simple adjustment because your gears are skipping in between each one, you can adjust the barrel adjustment knob on the derailleur itself. Similar to the brake adjustment knob, the derailleur adjustment may be located up on the handlebars with the derailleur shifter or down at the derailleur itself, as it is with this bike. Adjusting this knob changes the tension in this cable, which adjusts the derailleur up and down the cassette. The tighter the cable, the farther up the cassette the derailleur will go. The looser the cable, the farther down. By tightening this knob, you will loosen the tension in the wire and bring the derailleur farther down this way. By loosening this knob, you will tighten the cable in the derailleur and bring it farther up the cassette. If you're having issues with shifting, adjusting this can help. Otherwise, refer to the video I linked earlier for a full derailleur adjustment guide. And that brings me to tip number 5, and that's don't take this too seriously. I mean, it is a beach cruiser after all. It's not gonna win you the Tour de France. What it is gonna do though, is lug you and your chair and everything you bring with you to the beach and get you back home afterwards. Whether you lube the chain with Vaseline or Finish Line dry bike lubricant with Teflon, it's really not gonna matter. The tips I gave you today are gonna help you have a more enjoyable ride, but at the end of the day, this bike's for getting you to the beach, then you forget about it. So get out there, ride your beach cruiser, have fun this summer, and enjoy the beach. Thanks for watching. I mean, I wasn't planning on taking this beach cruiser off a ramp, but I did stroll through a parking lot and there was a piece of wood set up as a ramp, so.
You got like 3 feet of air that time.
Beach cruisers can do anything.